Hello and welcome to Shay Zasaa and a Zasaa Zooms In. And today I've got my guest, Debisi. You haven't met her before, so please be kind. But you're going to love her. You're going to love her. So Debisi, what are we talking about today? We're talking about culture, sort of. But we're talking about how we raise our boys and our girls differently.
Yep.
Now, I have boys and girls, and I'm probably not valid for this conversation, but I'm going to be in it. Debisi has girls.
Yes.
So we're talking about how we raise our children. Now, this came about because I think, and I've said it on here before, that we, in the Nigerian culture, in the Yoruba culture specifically, we raise our boys to be kings and our girls to be wives. What do you think about that?
So I think you're right, actually, because the way in which, if you think about culture, we kind of send girls to school, and then when they finish, like, don't worry, you're gonna marry some rich man and you'll be fine. Having said that, I would say that I wasn't raised like to be a wife in that sense. I think I was actually given lots of opportunity, and I was never actually told, no, you can't do that because you're a girl. And my closest sibling is a boy, so it's my brother. And I was allowed to do almost everything he was doing. Nobody ever, my dad or my mom never said, nah, don't do that.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me stop you there. So you've taken it to a different point, which is a valid point. But do you think that you were trained in how to cook, how to clean, how to do? You weren't?
No.
Oh, I love your parents.
They didn't. Okay, let's roll it back a little bit. I'm the last of 5.
Okay.
So I always say this to my children: if I didn't want to learn how to cook, it would have passed me by. As in, when I wanted to learn how to cook, I actually physically asked my mom, come and teach me how to make stew, come and teach me how to, and then I had one exam, home economics exam, and I had to learn how to make fried rice or something. So those were so it was never like, go to the market with mommy because you are the girl, you have to carry stuff. This is what it really wasn't like that.
You see, it's so funny because you are now like, she's rubbishing everything I've said on here. Because I always say that there's no Yoruba girl that I know that does not know how to be a wife. She may choose not to be, but she has been trained to be. That's what I'm always saying. I'm always saying that she has everything in place to be a wife. Now, whether she decides to go that way or not is an entirely different thing. But she would have been trained not from birth, but early on.
So I think the way, we were trained, and I'm sure my older sisters would probably say they were taught to cook. I don't know. I don't remember that. I think for them, they probably thought I was some precocious child because every time they were asked to wash dishes and stuff, and I was left because I was the little one, I'd be like, I want to wash plates, I want to wash, it was like, what is wrong with this girl, But I think I think I was prepared for life. So in a sense, we all learned how to drive. And my mom specifically taught my sisters. It was like a, thing. You taught your sisters, the sisters will teach your brother will teach you. It was like that. So at the age of 17, I could drive. I could drive my mom's car, go anywhere. The other thing that happened, my mom had to go abroad to work for a time, and so because of that, I kind of took over some of the things she used to do, like go to the market and buy foodstuffs and stuff. But it wasn't like anyone said, I think they were even impressed that I did it. It wasn't like anybody said, go and do it. But I think from copying and saying, okay, this is what my mom would do, I would do it. So in a sense, yes. But
so you kind of learned by example.
Yes, more than this is what you need to do. You are a girl, you are going to get married, you need to know how to cook, you need to know how to... No, none of that. I'm actually really serious. I don't think anybody said that to me at all.
I find that most intriguing. But
they might have said that to my older sister.
Yeah, I'm glad to get, because it's just interesting, because one of my biggest problems with the whole because I feel like the culture, and like I said, maybe I'm the wrong person to speak about it because it didn't affect me. But looking at my friends, I feel like culturally it's almost like your destination is marriage.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
So we're prepared everything for you to get married. You might get educated on the way there, but once you hit marriage, then you're done.
So I agree with that, and I think that even if your parents didn't teach that, society demanded that of you. So you kind of felt, okay, now I've finished, I've graduated from uni, I'm working, so where's the man? You will get that question no matter how you are brought up. It's like, so where's the man? So when are you getting married? So it's like, hello, do I need to be getting married? Really? And I think for me, where I recognize it a lot is because I have 2 girls, and I'm raising them to be human beings.
Thank you.
I actually tell people this. I said, if I had a boy and a girl, I would raise them the same, in the sense of the same opportunities. I would never say, your brother is a boy, so he can do this, and you're a girl, you can't. I would never say those words. And I know that because those things were never said to me.
Okay, so let me ask a question, because I agree with you. I have boys and I have girls. But there's a thing that has happened recently in my household that has made it clear that there is a difference in the way, even though I did what you said, I gave them the same opportunities. There's certain, and my son pulled me up on it, because he said, if that was me, you wouldn't have. And because even though I agree with you 100%, when push comes to shove, I'm more concerned about my girl's safety than I am my boy's safety.
So definitely. So we have to, obviously, I would agree with that. So for instance, when my daughters start driving a car, they will get a good car, because we have to be real. I don't want
bad car for your son.
No, so I don't want my girls, the car is breaking down on the roadside, going around. You always think about safety. And why do we do that? Because also, let's go back again, society. It's not safe. You're a woman. Even as a woman, there's a difference if you are coming out of a train station at 10 p.m. and your husband is coming out at 10 p.m. Yeah. So you know that there are some things you have to embrace. And I think for me, that is not a growing up thing. It's different. It's about knowing your environment, being wise, and being, safe. So for instance, I remember when my daughters were going to go to secondary school, like the firstborn was going to go to secondary school, it was a bit of like, she's going to be taking the school bus, taking the train, and then walking back. And everybody was like, how are your children going to do that? Because, in the sense of your children are kind of naive. Yeah. You take them to school, you pick them up, you bring them back. And I remember saying to her, when you drop at the bus stop, I want you to walk like you are going somewhere. I don't want dragging, listening to your mobile phone, something. I said, do you know why? Because that sends a message. What am I doing? I'm making her wise in the ways of the world. So I think for you, that's different. It's different about you have to worry about safety. And even now, even with our boys, we have to worry, isn't it? Because there's so much going on. So I think that's a different, it's about being aware, your environment, where you're being brought up, how you present yourself. And unfortunately, society treats men and women differently, boys and girls differently. I always tell my girls that you have to remember that there's no matter how much there's women's liberation, no matter how much there's equality, and I believe in equality. I think a man and a woman should get paid the same. There's no difference. Just because I'm a woman and you're a man doesn't mean you're better than me, okay? But society treats and punishes the genders differently. So for instance, I'll give you this as an example. As a doctor, I can walk in, see a patient, I speak to the patient, and patient also, do they believe me or not? But instinctively, if my male colleague was there, they would believe him much or trust. Oh, this is a doctor. I'll go to meet the doctor. Now, for a long time, people say it's because you look young. No, it's not. That's just the way life is. You will instinctively trust a male doctor, Caucasian doctor, much more than even a male black doctor. But then you would trust a male black doctor more than you trust a female doctor, and then a female black doctor is like, it's the end of the road. Yeah,
interesting.
No, so some people do that.
So
there's that thing in. So you feel it, and there's that difference, and sometimes you're like. misogynist. You don't believe me because, and I have a friend that she's the consultant. She walks into a room to see her patient. She introduces herself. She's wearing the badge that says consultant. She tells you, and she's with a junior. He's a first year doctor, newly qualified doctor, and the patient spends all the time looking at the doctor, the guy, and listening, asking him the question until finally I think he now recognizes that, oh, you're asking me, like, no, it's my consultant that is meant to answer his, doctor, and she's like, she's having a good laugh just watching what's going on, like, seriously, is it because I'm female? So that happens as well. So I think for me, I'm raising my girls, and I know we've gone off a little bit, so
we always go off on straight.
I'm raising my girls to be independent, well-rounded human beings. I'm also trying hard for them to see themselves as, great human beings. Because unfortunately, Tineke, even without the culture, now there's this whole thing of you have to get married anyway. Yeah. And social media and the whole proposal and the whole it's such a big thing that the other day I had to say to her, I think your generation actually puts their own pressure on themselves, because this is not now your parents putting pressure on you. This is but for me it's like, no, who are you? You should be able to say that. And there's something I've told my girls growing up. I said, unfortunately, society, you are women, you are female, you are black, you have Nigerian names. I said, so you'll be judged. Before you've opened your mouth, you are already judged on those 3 things. So make sure that the next time you open your mouth to say something, a lot of good sense comes out of it. Because when you do that...
seriously, because I was having this conversation with my husband a couple of months ago, and I said to him, you can never understand what it is to be me. Because once I walk into a room, whether it's in this European society or in the African society, the moment I walk in, the first thing they see is a woman. The next thing they see is either a black person or a light-skinned person, depending on where I am. Then they see, beauty. So there's already 3 things speaking for me before I open my mouth. And those 3 things, they have judged me. So I'm like, you walk into the room, yes, you're a black man, but all they see is black.
Yep.
What I mean? Once they get past the black, you're fine. But with me, there's so many other things, and I don't know what else. I mean, I just mentioned 3 things, but I'm sure there are other things that are speaking before I open my mouth. So I love the fact that you're teaching them that.
Yeah, so I tell them that it's real. And so I agree with, I think, with our culture, it's all about, this is how you have to be. Your husband might not eat this food, so you have to know how to cook this food. I'm like, no, why? Why would I say that?
Yeah, it's such an interesting one. I think it's like you said, society, and I don't know when. I think this is what, I was going to say upsets me. I'm not sure it upsets me, but it upsets me, Sha. It does upset me. It's just like, at what point, because when I look at my daughters, I'm like, are they going to have a better, is this ever going to change? It's kind of my thing. Like, I know we've come far, so it's not like, what I mean? But I sometimes, when I come home, I just feel like there's really no hope. In this, sometimes you're just, and then I just think, is there any point in even trying to raise these girls to believe that there's hope? You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, and I think part of it is it's a whole societal change. So you need, as much as you need women to call it out, you need men to call it out. You need men that are like, no, that isn't right. You can't speak to her this way. You need them to call it out and say, this is misogynistic. Why am I getting paid more than this person? Why? I mean, I heard a story about, I think it's true, Chadwick Boseman, when he acted in 12 Bridges, his counterpart, the lady, I don't know, I can't remember her name, she was going to be paid less than him. And he said, no, don't do that. And he'll take a pay cut so that she gets the correct pay. Now, that's just one person doing something. But what I mean is that good men out there should call it out. Don't just leave it. Don't laugh it off. Because that is the same thing with things like racism. It's not only for the black people or ethnic minorities or Asians to call it out. It's actually everybody. Call it out. It isn't right. So don't do it, and things like that. So I think it is disheartening. And I remember the first time I actually faced misogyny, I was shocked. and it was in my professional sphere, and I was like, oh, this is misogyny. You know, and I was like, what? And I think part of the reason it hit me, and you know, like how we're talking about, you know, being in different environments, is that when I never saw myself as that woman or that female doctor. If I saw myself as doctor, full stop. Yeah. But the minute you get hit by it, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Is it because I'm a woman? Oh, I didn't realize.
Look, I'll tell you, the day that thing hit me, it wasn't misogyny. The thing that hit me was when someone said to me, he said, but anyway, because you were raised in a single parent family. And I was. Yeah. But at no point in my life till he made that comment had I ever seen myself as a single parent family. I mean, I was. He was right. But you know what I mean? It wasn't just something. Yeah. I just thought, wow, oh, actually, I am.
True. But that's the thing. The thing is, that means you are brought up well enough, well-rounded enough to not feel the impact. And that's what I say to people, that sometimes, you know, even racism, I did not feel racism until I came into the UK. Why? Because obviously I grew up in Nigeria. We're all the same now. Who's going to be racist against me? You know what I mean? But then that also taught me something, that I need to, because my children are growing up here. So then they need to be secure in who they are, because that's the only way you fight things like that, is knowing that I'm not less than the next person because I'm of my gender, or because of my race, or because of my ethnicity, or my color, or whatever. We're equal, or I'm better because maybe I'm better educated, or whatever. And even that, you know, is a query, because there's some people that are well educated and you're like, nah, I'm not sure you know what you're doing, but you know. So there are things like that, and I think I'm very big on women, on girls being so secure in themselves, on, you know, being raised to know that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. Being raised to know that I can't be, you know, you can't identify me by the boyfriend that I have. Just because, you know, in fact, the guy that wants to chase me, you should be grateful he's chasing me, because I'm good.
Preach. No, absolutely. And I'm so for the, well, you know, I'm for this. I'm like, this is my world, that we have to, because I think, unfortunately, and you know, it's so funny when you were talking about misogyny. One of the things that I had said to my husband, and you know my husband, and you know he's not misogynistic, but one day I told him, I said, you are misogynistic. And the reason I said that is because society is misogynistic. So there's certain things that he does that he doesn't even realize that misogynistic, because it's the norm.
It's a systemic problem.
Exactly.
It's a systemic issue.
It's how do you now deal with that? If you can't get it, you know, the same way they say, and this is what I said to him, I said, you know, the way they say that the racism is in the fabric of the British society, misogyny is in the fabric of the world society. It's like, how do you even start to deal with it?
Exactly.
You know, so it's so funny, because I mean, he was horrified when I said it to him, like he couldn't believe it.
No, because it just makes you pause and reflect. So for instance, my husband is a father of 2 girls. And I'm sure there are things that he has had to think about that he probably would not have thought about before. But because he's now the father of 2 girls, he's like, you know, right? And he's not misogynistic, like you would say, you know, like he I remember when we had our second daughter, and it was, you know, 2 girls, right? And we'd always said we only have 2 children and everything. So then I went to meet him and said, listen, are you okay? We're still having 2 children, right? Like, I don't want you to have some midlife crisis in 5 years and say, I want a son. Let me know now so that I can psychologically prepare. And I was like, no, I'm very happy. 2 girls, 2 healthy children. And I was like, I'm so grateful for that, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, some people desire a son, some people desire a daughter. It doesn't matter. Like I always say to people, just, I'm grateful to God for what I have and who I have. But that's the thing about when you talk about systemic racism or misogyny and things like that. It takes you almost tearing that system apart and say, why, you know, this thing that happens and that we all accept, men and women, is actually wrong. So we shouldn't be accepting it. And that's why I always say, even women can be the greatest culprits of, like you said, we are raising our children and you're raising them to be wives. And then you're raising the boys and you're like, you know, you're going to be the head of your house, which you are, but you cannot lift a finger, you can't wash plates, you can't cook. You tell the sister, look, your brother is hungry, go and get him something to eat. No. No.
That thing drives me crazy. I have a lot to say about that, but I won't say anything. So
I agree. Of course, as they get to a certain age, you have to distinguish. You're a boy, you're a girl. There are things you should, do, like your brother, your son should open the door for the girls. Teaching is just respect. Good.
I hope you know that people are going to complain about that too. But
I
that's
know,
okay.
I know.
Believe that the boys.
I know, but but that's just good manners.
Yeah.
It's
But
like teaching
so
people
funny
to
because
say
my
please
son,
and thank you.
But you see, my son, I taught him like that, and one day he came home and he said, "Mom, I'm not doing
Doesn't
it again
work.
because they keep saying, why are you holding? Why are you holding the door for me? You don't need to hold the door for me. Do you think I can't hold it? So he got fed up and he started. I mean, he still does it now from time to time, but I think he decides when he does it.
So this is the issue. So it's also about teaching our girls how to
just accept gracefully.
Yeah.
Like
there's something about that. You are queens. So if we're going to bring up our boys to be kings, which I have not, that's the headache. But you should then bring up your daughters to be queens.
Exactly.
Like how a queen, they open the door for a queen,
Yeah.
you accept it gracefully, and that doesn't mean you're not self-aware. It just makes you, and that's why I said opening the doors and things like that is just good manners. So what you're doing is bringing up your boys to have good manners, bringing up your girls to have good manners. And I think, unfortunately, with the rise in social media and all the things that go on social media, people just get habits that are not great.
Yeah.
And for me, it's that, how do you quell the voice of the world in your own place? It's, even telling your daughters, you are beautiful, you are great. There's nothing, oh no, my tummy is not flat enough, I'm not skinny enough. No, stop, because it's a real problem. But yeah, I mean,
But it's funny because I was talking to Chinwe about something, I can't remember what it was, and she was saying it seems like the girls these days are much better than we were in terms of accepting themselves. And I don't know if that's also, I mean, it's kind of counter social media, but there's an element of this is how I am.
Oh yeah,
But
but there's that thing
great,
now,
but
my truth, your truth. This is me. I'm being.
But it's almost like we need to find the balance because it's like sometimes.
So the thing is that you and I agree with Chinwe. There's a lot of that which is good to see, but there's also there's a lot of, and we will bring up the mental health problems, which is a lot of it is how they look, body image. Social media again. I'm not against social media. I do have social media. I use it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying it has to be used the way it should be and not dictate. And what you find is, obviously, as the younger you are and the more you're on social media, the more you accept a lot of those things, whether you are doing it or not.
Yeah, subconsciously.
It happens. And that's why there's now a lot of talk about regulating social media at the age of children, the ages and things like that. It's quite important. But I mean, I'm all for girls, do everything you want. My girl wants to wear shorts, climb up trees, please go ahead. Rush out, play football.
I can't imagine
be models
and not having climbed trees. I mean, we climbed trees.
We did.
Before I broke my collarbone, I broke everything falling from the tree. But that made me.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I want for my daughters and any other person that girl, just that whole being, knowing that you are strong, you are enough, you are great, you are wonderfully made. You don't need to be bowing down to a man to get married. That's a lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. Society tries to tell you that you have to be a certain way for you to get married. No. The right person will always go for you the right way. So, no, sorry, I'm against the culture.
Well, I think she said it all. Totally. I think I have to have you back to talk about this confidence, self-confidence building, because I do that in my Rock Your Own World and it's all about, and I think it's so important. But now I can't go around saying this is how we raise our girls, because you've come as the one exception. You're probably the only exception, but as long as there's an exception, I have to give. But thank you very much. Will you come back?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, please. And what should we talk about? Anyway, we'll decide that later. Anyway, so how do you raise your kids? Do you consciously raise your boys different from how you raise your girls? We were talking about it from a Nigerian culture point of view, but from any culture point of view, is there a way? And not safety, because Debisi made me realize something when she said, when you're talking about safety, that's not really about the raising, it's not the bringing up. which is right. I hadn't really thought about it that deeply. But just in terms of how you raise your boys and how you raise your girls, do you do it differently or not? Let us know. Follow us on YouTube, and yeah, tell us what you want us to discuss next time. See you next time. Keep rocking your own gorgeous.